So we recently took a look at all the imports that released in 2023. The year is coming to a close, so we need to start looking forward. And there are a sizable amount of very nice imports that we already know of. And I need to tell you about them so you can get excited just like me. At the time of writing this, none of these have announcements for a Western release, but of course it can happen, and I'm sure at least a couple of them will get a Western release. So yeah, you have been warned, things can change, but let's take a look. Hebereke 2 is releasing physically in Japan next year, the developers of which have stated that it will have English. Some of you older gamers out there may be aware of an old NES game called Euphoria, a cute little platformer. Well, this is it. It's a sequel slash remake with modernish visuals, and it looks charming as buttons. I look forward to seeing how well it plays next year on February 29th, a leap year. I'm going to be leaping for this one. EDF World Brothers 2 is a game I'm really looking forward to as well. Sure, it's not exactly the mainline series, but hey, this plays just as well, even with the kiddie visual style. I really enjoyed the first World Brothers, which is also an import exclusive, so I have no doubt this will be good too. I just hope it runs a little bit better than the original. And you know what? I think on a bit more Jordan, I think next year I'm going to do an EDF retrospective, so maybe this will be in it. Irem Collections Volume 1 to 5 are coming at some point. Yeah, Strictly Limited have already started pre-orders for the first 3 at the time of writing this, but Japan has opened pre-orders for the first one, and no doubt the other volumes will also appear. I initially thought this was a bit of a grift, what with only 3 games per cartridge, but if you see my impressions video on Physical Paradise, you'll see that I came around a little bit due to multiple versions of the same games, and games that are genuinely pretty awesome. Goblin Slayer, another adventure and nightmare feast, is a game I'm really looking forward to. This is a tactical RPG that's fantastic looking. I mean, it's Final Fantasy Tactics with polar bear popes. You can't get more metal than that. I actually don't know a whole lot about it, but it's releasing early next year, and I can't wait to learn more. And if you can't wait for either and you want to pre-order this, then please consider using the links below to purchase at PlayAsia. That is the #1 way to support this channel, and I thank you ever so kindly. Plus, in return, we can support you a little bit too. If you click our link, you can get 5% off anything with our discount code SWTV23. Obviously, the year is coming to a close. This code is not going to be the same in a couple of weeks' time, so make sure you're subscribed. Check out the latest Let's Get Physical video every Monday so you can stay up to date with the latest codes and discounts. Thank you ever so much. Dreadout 2 is releasing in early January. This is a horror game that's a bit like Fatal Frame, only this time you use your smartphone instead of an ancient camera. I actually brought this one up in my PS5 imports video over on A Bit More Jordan, and I was really interested in picking it up. Well, now I can just get the Switch version. Really looking forward to this. Radirgy 2 is one of a good few shooters that you may look to import in early 2024. This is the sequel to the much peculiar Radirgy, which was a Dreamcast shooter ported around even on the Switch. You can get it in a double pipe with Illmatic Envelope Swamp. This is no doubt going to be as weird and peculiar, but also a lot of fun. Language options are currently unknown, but I can't imagine a lack of English would get in the way of a good time. Rainbow Cotton is a game that Strictly Limited Games have already taken pre-orders for Europe, but I'm pretty sure you can get this Japanese version much earlier and probably much cheaper too. This is a remake of a much maligned rail shooter. In fact, I recently played the original for my Dreamcast adventure on A Bit More Jordan, but you won't see that for many weeks. Either way, it's a game that had massive potential, but also massive flaws. And as you can see, they've attempted to tweak it, which, yeah, we'll have to see if it works or not. I'm looking forward to it, I guess. Princess Maker 2 Regeneration is a game I'm rather embarrassingly excited about, and that's just down to its name. But I should stop being a git, because no, it's not a game for fairy princess wannabes. This is a hardcore simulation game, a game where you need to wear a bandana to get through it. Yeah, you raise a princess, but it's got that old school Japanese PC game twist to it where it's actually really good and compelling. I can't wait for this, ladies and gentlemen, and there's a standard and collector's edition going to be available. Touhou Lunar Nights is a game I've been begging for a physical release of for years, literally years. seemed like an easy win, and Japan finally decided they were going to do one. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the box art, it's a bit big hand lady for my liking. Doesn't seem to fit the theme at all, but it's a compromise, so yeah, physically, I'm happy. Lisa, the Definitive Edition, is an incoming double pack of side-scrolling JRPGs. Well, I think it's the main game and a DLC pack, not entirely clear on that, but either way, this is more charming than I imagined after I saw the title and the cover art. This looks like a proper good game. JRPG battle system, yeah, looks nice. This is releasing in March. Macross Shooting Insight is another shooting collection that I also don't know a whole lot about. I don't know much about Macross, but I do know people like it and are excited about this, so I'm excited for them. This mixes up side-scrolling and horizontal shooting, which is always a risk. Let's hope it pays off. This will have English, and yeah, enjoy. Radiant Silvergun. Oh, if you want some more shooter goodness in your life, this time one that's critically acclaimed and everyone can recommend, you know, Radiant Silvergun, releasing physically in Japan in the summertime 2024, so it's quite a while to go. Obviously, Limited Run already did this in North America, and most of you probably picked it up already. I can't blame you, but now this is looking to be a good option in the future. Gunvolt Records' Cychronicle is a rhythm game based on the music of the Gunvolt series, which sounds amazing because they have good music, but the issue I can see is the seemingly low quantity of songs. Maybe there's a communication error, but it does seem a bit scant in an era where most rhythm games have like 100 songs. Maybe I'm just being greedy, I've been spoiled. The Enigma Machine and Alterity Experience is a double pack from Kosen, a company that do tend to over-egg their own products with the pricing, but as a double pack this looks fairly interesting. These are two first-person horror adventure puzzle games. They are made by different teams but share similar vibes. Reviews for both are fairly positive. I'm not sure how many are going to be importing this, but it looks good, and it's something I would get if the price was decent. Gungrave G.O.R.E Ultimate Enhanced Edition is a really cool looking action game where you play as an anti-hero. An anti-hero with machine guns. It sounds pretty awesome. It's adrenaline fueled, balls to the wall action that will scratch that platinum itch of old. Remember Vanquish, Mad World, good stuff. Now I did hear that the more powerful console versions of this game even suffered from a few performance issues, so hopefully this is ported as delicately as possible. Saint Maker is a Play Asia exclusive release. It's been up for pre-order since this year, a few weeks back, but is likely being sent out in early 2024 if their usual schedule is anything to go by. This is a visual novel with horror elements, as you can probably guess. It's got religious themes to it and is from the same devs as Love Esquire and, more importantly, The Letter, which is a really decent horror visual novel. Interestingly, this also comes with a side dish bonus game called Perfect Gold, which is a short, sweet Yuri VN. There is a standard and collector's edition available. Kwaidan Azuma Manor Story is another Play Asia exclusive. In fact, we're just going to go through the rest of these exclusives. They were put up for pre-order in 23, but likely to be sent out in 24. Kwaidan is the most interesting one for me since it has all the vibes of PS2 Jankage. I'm here for every second of it. It reminds me of Onimusha quite a bit, and yeah, I've played it a bit and it's good stuff. Definitely not for everyone. You do need to have patience for it. Dead in Vinland, another one of theirs. I'm not sure why this one is taking so long. It seems like pre-orders went out ages ago. And yeah, this one they were quite passionate about. Personally, it's one I'm least interested in since, yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be good, high quality, just not my type of game. Touhou Spell Carnival is releasing in Japan in May. This is a lovely looking restaurant simulator set in the Touhou franchise. This is very positively received over on Steam as you collect ingredients by day and then cook during the evening. Something a bit like Sword and Fairy in 2, but this one does look quite a bit better. Front Mission 2 is a game that Forever Limited did exclusively on their website in Europe. I'm not sure how successful that has been, or whether it will eventually come to retail, but if you're not bothered about waiting and finding out, then you may want to take a look at the upcoming Japanese physical release, which is due for early next year. This is a remake of a Square Enix classic strategy game, and it looks pretty great, even if the remaster was made by Forever Entertainment. Of the Red, the Light, and the Ayakashi as a visual novel, from what I can gather, it's a BL, which means boy love, making it only the second import of this kind with dude-on-dude action. It's joining Hashihime of the old Buck Town in that regard, and I don't know anything else about it aside from I really like the box art. It reminds me of Okami. Lunaria, Virtualized Moonchild is another visual novel, and this one, at least at the time of writing this, is super cheap for the physical import. PlayAsia have it for just 22 bucks for the standard edition. Obviously the collector's edition is a bit more expensive, probably not worth it though, because it's just an art book and an acrylic standee. Where's the 50 bucks coming from? I don't know. Where's the soundtrack CD, guys? Where's the impenetrable drama CD? Actually, this is a VN about a gamer who's into a sort of VR battle game, which sounds kind of interesting. Can they make the action scenes compelling? I do wonder. Amairo Chocolate, I don't know what I'm saying, is another visual novel releasing in Japan in March. From what I can gather, this is a pretty decent cat-girl dating VN, which we don't get too often these days on the Switch as an import. It's almost always Yuri, Otomes, things like that, but now, cat girls, dog girls as well. Hatsumira from The Future Undying is another visual novel. This is a beastly VN from Prototype and Front Wing, and this is a very highly regarded VN. It's an Izakaya of sorts, which isn't my favorite premise, but I've seen lots of positivity about this one releasing on the Switch in April with English. Fitness Boxing featuring Hatsune Miku is a game that probably won't have English. In fact, I'm pretty certain it definitely won't. However, I don't think it'll get a Western physical release either, so if you can get past a few menus, if you want to punch the air while being instructed by a Vocaloid, then it won't be a bad option to import. Apparently this has the most music tracks in the series compared to Fitness Boxing 1, 2, and Fist of the North Star. I want to know who's going to be next. Please be Godzilla Fitness Boxing, that would be awesome. Yohane the Parhelion, Numazu in the Mirage is a pretty cool looking RPG, another game in the series that we literally just got a game for, but obviously this is quite different if you compare the two side by side. This is bursting with color and personality, even if it does have cards and deck building with its battle system, but I may get over that and give this one a shot. It's going to have a standard edition, as well as a very expensive premium edition with a soundtrack, drama CD, and art book. Kemco RPG Selection Volume 8, releasing in Japan early next year, once again containing 4 budgeted, retro-style JRPGs. This collection includes As Divine Kamura, Alphadia Genesis, Lost Dragon, and Dragon La Piece de Piss. Something like that. This time the collection is sporting a peachy pink, perfect for the springtime. It's releasing in March 21st. Where the Water Tastes Like Wine is releasing in early January in Asian regions. You may remember that Limited Run handled this in North America as a distribution title quite a long time ago. I think it sold quite poorly, so they still have a bunch of them available at places like Video Games Plus, but now this is an option if you prefer things not to be associated with them. It should contain English. And there we have it, a bunch of import exclusives coming in 2024. I think that's looking pretty sweet so far. What's your pick of the bunch? Remember, if you want to pre-order any of them, then please use the links below. That massively helps us out. And as always, I love you guys. Have a good day. Have a good new year.